Dear learners, welcome to UGC MOOC on Tourism Planning and Sustainable Development. Our topic of the day is Environment and Tourism, Areas of Conflict, Symbiosis and Synergy. Dear learners, after completion of this topic, you will be in a position to know about the relationship between environment and tourism, impacts of tourism on environment, areas of conflict between tourism and environment, measures for symbiosis and synergy between tourism and environment. First, have a look on the relationship between tourism and environment. The eventual fate of tourism is inseparably connected to the nature of the environment. Our grand scene, coastline, waterways and lakes and social legacy are the bedrock whereupon tourism has been developed. The monetary suitability and aggressiveness of the tourism business must be managed if the nature of these assets is kept up. Presently, like never before, tourism industry depends on solid and fitting environmental strategies. As a typical property asset, the environment is defenseless against harm since individuals can profit by misusing it without paying any partner. Abuse and clashes between clients result, which must be settled by an assortment of strategy mediation, including laws, understandings, charges, right portion, and other such measures. These are the primary choices for approach. The tourism business has effectively exchanged positive environmental picture for quite a long time. Yet, extraordinary monetary development as of late has put the nature of this center tourism item under expanding weight. Vital tourism resources, which are important for the reasonable development of tourism, ought to be shielded from infringement and harm by improper improvement. These benefits incorporate uncommon scenes, imperative perspectives, great water quality, the setting of notable structures and landmarks, biodiversity, and access focuses to the drift and open farmland. The business is reliant upon the nation's indigenous habitat and social legacy to support the particular tourism item and to grow environmentally based ecotourism items. A standout amongst the most dire environmental difficulties confronting the nation is that of water quality. Critical upgrades are too required for lakes, the beachfront waters, keeping in mind the end goal to consent to the directive. Other environmental difficulties which should be rooted to guarantee proceeded with advantages to tourism. They include managing the ramification of environmental changes, ensuring feasible, coordinated administration and advancement of the beachfront asset, managing danger to diversity and normal assets, managing the expanded age of waste, dealing with developing vitality utilization and rising ozone harming substance discharges, the controlling litter in urban, provincial and beachfront regions. Some of the issues for tourism in relation to environment. There are various difficulties identifying with the environment that should be tended to by the tourism segment. It is particularly essential for tourism partners to play a more proactive part to save environmental quality. Since tourism depends so vigorously on the environment, the difficulties for the tourism divisions in expanding levels of sustainability, they include advancing the standards and routine with regard to sustainable tourism all through the business. Economic contribution from tourism development is still firmly connected with environmental degradation, regularly bringing about a negative effect on the nature of the tourism item. Dear learners, there is a need to achieving more prominent local and seasonal spread of tourists. decreasing the environmental effect of tourism label, minimizing the environmental effect of tourism related improvement and improving tourism efficiency from resources, significant waste management and protection of water from getting polluted. There is need for achieving good water quality for local residents and for tourists, effective destination management and developing more secure and attractive destinations for guests. Continuous improvement and different exercises related with tourism ought to in all regard be suitable to the character of the place in which they are managed. This applies to the scale, plan and nature of the place and also to the specific land utilized, monetary and social prerequisites of the place and its environment, achieving sustainable tourism. To accomplish sustainable tourism, all partners must spotlight on mitigating the environmental weights and effects created by tourism itself. All tourism administrators must deal with vitality, waste and water all the more effectively. There is need for credible environmental accreditation plans connected to approaches. The part need to be look at approaches to lessen the environmental effect of tourist level. The tourist destination must work with local authorities to oversee expanded visitor number while maintaining a strategic distance from promotes environmental harm. More practical, manageable tourism parameters are required so that the destination recognize the effect of the tourism on biodiversity, social legacy and picture scenes and make a move to decrease any negative effects. The destination direly need to address the issue of litter and fly tipping in both urban and local destinations. In this regard, the capability of the ecotourism segment should be recognized and created. Dear learners, let's understand the connection between tourism and environment. Danger to environmental assets utilized by the tourism activities can emerge both inside and outside the area. Setting up the relative effect of various dangers is essential. However, regularly troublesome, for instance in visitor goals, create double the measures of waste every day that residents produce. The extent of the dangers postured by environmental issues to tourism ranges from minor bother to dangers so extreme that whole classes of assets wind up unusable. For instance, transfer of waste and untreated wastewater and sewage with principal water bodies. As visitors wind up both all the more environmentally mindful and better educated of conceivable environmental issues, it is likely that the expenses of the interaction will rise. The seriousness of the effect of environmental issues on the tourism part depends urgently on what potential guests think about the degree and the nature of these issues. An especially basic point in such manner is that it is less demanding to procure a terrible notoriety for poor environmental quality than to build a decent notoriety. An assortment of accreditation plan have risen to furnish potential guests with data on environmental conditions. Now, dear learners, let's understand the role of tourism for creating symbiosis. There is very significant role of tourism in the conservation of nature, protection, and their relationship has been a protected one. Tourism regularly empowers measures to secure a preserved nature. However, in the meantime and to some degree, incomprehensibly presents a huge environmental hazards as a result of its request on the indigenous habitat. These dangers are heightening as residential and worldwide tourism interest for normal zones in developing. Moreover, the nature of that request is with the end goal that voyagers make looking for greater suddenness, autonomy, and investment in their encounters. And in this manner, adding to the development of practical tourism, there are three unique associations regarding tourism and nature preservation: strife, conjunction, or beneficial interaction. These can exist between those advancing tourism and those upholding nature conservation. Conflict happens when traditionalists see that tourism can have just negative impact on the environment. Coexistence is noted when a constructive outcome, however, now and then little is recorded between the two gatherings. Be that as it may, such concurrence once in a while proceeds inconclusively, especially when an expansion in tourism movement may make generous changes the environment. Symbiosis is achieved when the connection among tourism and the nature preservation is sorted out such that both get advantage from the relationship. Dear learners, let's summarize this. Tourism and environment are interrelated, and there are stages of conflict and concurrence that are two normal advantageous interaction is maybe minimum spoke to. Tourism and nature conservation frequently go up against a harmonious relationship, since ensured reason give esteems, settings, and a set appealing to the guests. Tourism can cause both environmental corruption and upgrade. Sustainable tourism requires the preservation of nature, and in this manner can bolster the support of considerable improvement of characteristic territories and resulting increment in guest fulfillment. The reasonability of the recreational and tourism assets as opposed to clashing with preservation really underpins it. Generally, tourist satisfaction is decreased as the inalienable interest of the common asset decay. Tourism gives a monetary catalyst to preservation of the environment on the grounds that ensured and beautiful territories are attractions for both residential and global sightseers. This can likewise add to a more extensive energy about nature protection by elevating and expanding openness to particular locales and parts of nature. Be that as it may, the part of tourism as a predictable supporter of nature protection is regularly discussed as visitor, temple vegetation, bother untamed life, leaf litter, convey pathogens and weeds, and along these lines don't generally carry on it ways which advance an advantageous connection between the tourism business and preservation. Besides, tourism has encouraged serious survey of nature with coming about unsettling influence or harm and fear of insured and imperiled species. The tourism segment adds to environmental change, which likewise impact sly effects biodiversity. For instance, the consequences for uncommon and confined populace, loss of concern stone or notorious species, termination of endemic species, and scattering of intrusive species. The interrelationship among us tourism and nature protection are in this manner amazingly mind-boggling and dynamic, with struggle being most intense where tourism advancement happens quickly and without key arranging. The effective coordination of tourism and nature protection goals of expanding significance since it upgrades individual decisions and keeps up or even improves the nature of the environment. Thank you.